Hello Airsoft friends, and welcome to this video today where I'm excited because I've had a new riff has arrived. Yes, a new riff has come. I've bought it with my own money and I'm going to show it off to you so you can kind of see it. Now, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't really excited about buying this riff because I've never found these to be, something that I would quite like. They always looked quite odd and felt quite odd when I've held them in the past. But Project Airsoft needs to make some things for this riff, which is why I've gone and picked it up. By the way, go and check out Project Airsoft. Link is in the description, all your airsoft accessory needs. And I've reluctantly got it, and you can see it here. I'm looking at it right now in my little preview window. It's right there. It is a Krytac Vector SMG one as well. Now, it comes in two different versions. There's the SMG version and then there's the carbine version. I think the only difference is the carbine one just has like a longery endy bit out here. So let's just have a little look at it then, shall we? Now, it is actually pretty compact. You can see I've actually got the Ronin 47 here as well, which takes AK mags but is built very similarly to their ARs and SMG. So we can kind of like use that a little bit for side-by-side comparisons. Like with the stock completely out, the SMG Vector is quite a lot smaller than the Ronin 47, and the flash hider is adding a lot of extra length to it, which it doesn't really necessarily need that. Now, the Vector is quite different to a lot of riffs out there. There's a few different, key changes to it, or key differences to it, shall I say, that separate this from the crowd and could be a factor in whether you would want to get one or not. First of all, the Vector, as you may know, is a real-life gun. It exists in the real world, and this is an official kind of replica copy of that which Krytac have gone and done, so it's going to be as close to a real life Vector you're going to be able to get. It is an AEG, so it takes batteries, and the batteries you put inside the battery grip here, or the grip there. You got a little Dean's connector in there, so it's nice to see that it's coming stock wired to Dean's, because Dean's are just the superior connector in my opinion, but also in the world's opinion too. And I've never seen a riff that actually has the battery storage in the grip, so for me that was a little bit of an odd surprise. I was looking around the riff for a while to try and find where the batteries go, and then I found out they go in the grip. Sadly, none of my lipos are small enough to fit in the grip, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Either get some smaller batteries to put this in so I can actually skirmish it at some point, or make a bigger extended out battery thing on the base so I can put larger batteries in. And to be honest, I think that's the route I'm going to go down, because I need to try and get my money back on buying this, so I'm going to make as many parts for it as I can. Now, this is set out quite differently to your standard M4 gearboxes and things like that, just because it is a very different shape. Now, the gearbox for the Vector is all in this part here. This is your mag well, so if I grab a mag, you can put that in there and you can see the kind of like general look of it. It does look nice. To be fair, the more I look at it, the more I do appreciate the aesthetics of the Vector. It's got a really nice finish on it. Like, it feels really nice to hold, and because it's all polymer as well, it's actually pretty light too. So if you are looking for a like a lightweight SMG type thing, which is a little bit different, then this potentially could be for you. It has got a folding stock on there as standard too, so I can fold that up and then you can see how kind of like little and small it does go. And I do quite like that, because then as a display piece, it stands up on its own and it's quite, self-contained. And I think it does look quite snazzy just on the side there. It does look rather quite nice. But folding stocks for me is never really like a big selling point, just because I never really run it without the stock folded out in the field. It's more of a transport benefit, and I don't really have any bags or boxes small enough where I'd need to, to transport it without the stock folded. So yeah, the folding stock isn't really a big deal breaker for me. You have got this cool little flip out folding charging handle as well, and when you do that, it opens up this window here so you can get into the hop unit. So if I do that again, you'll be able to see when I do the charging handle, it just flips open just like that, nice and easy. There isn't like a release button or something to let this flip back down. You just have to manually put that down like that when you're done with adjusting your hop. So you don't get any dirts inside there, because you don't want any dirts in there. Now, in terms of barrel length of the hop unit, we can see here the nub for it is roughly there, and the barrel extends to about here. So it does have a really short barrel, roughly about 145 mil length on the barrel there. So that is quite short. In my riffs, usually the shortest barrel I would ever look to run is like 220 mil. I think in my Mark 23, I've got about 230. And to be fair, if you wanted your inner barrel to come out a little bit further into the flash hider where it's still going to be protected, you could probably add an extra you know, 50 mil of a barrel in there, and get that extra performance, and with it still looking rather the same. And then you could then just spray paint the outer of the inner barrel black, so it doesn't look like there's just like a gold shiny thing inside your flash hider. Now, coming to what I would say is probably the two most controversial parts of the riff itself. We have got the mag release and we've got the fire selector. Now, the mag release button is here, so if I just put my cheeky little magazine in like that, if I press that, it will poke it out just like so. There is not an extra spring in there, it's just the power from the spring in the top of the magazine that then, you know, forces it out when you press the button. And then the fire selector and the safety switch are here at the top. Now, they're separate units. They are two different switches. It's not like an M4 or similar where you've got a single switch where you've got safe, semi, and then auto. You've got your safety switch here at the back, and then you've got your fire selector here at the front. But before we get into the fire selector and the safety, let's have a little look at the mag release here. Now, when I'm going to be using this Vector out in the field, I'm going to be having it shouldered like this, and then my right hand is going to be up here on the mag well, just like so. Usually when I'm running like an SMG or M4 or something like that, I like to have a C grip and put my kind of like hand up at the top there. But because this is so short and this is not a very friendly, you know, feeling shape to put my hand over like so, I will run it on the mag well. And I've got the little kind of like ribbety kind of bits on there where you want to put your hand so you can get a bit of extra grip. But I'm going to be running my hand on here just like so, and there's literally no other mag release on the riff apart from this button here. So I find that when I come to reload, I'm probably just going to have to put a bit of force on that finger there to drop out the magazine just like so. I'm kind of worried it's going to happen automatically unless I hold kind of like further down like here. I mean, maybe that's the technique. Maybe that's where you are supposed to hold it, like have your thumb on there and then kind of like half hold the riff and half hold the magazine, so then you can press the button with your thumb and then slide your hand out. I mean, that actually worked quite nicely, so maybe that's the technique to do. Yeah, I guess you've got that mark there for your thumb to go in, so you'd be like brr, 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 and then press that, take it out, and then you can put your magazine wherever. So it's a little bit, it's okay, I guess. I feel naturally though I'd want to be up here and have my thumb kind of like on that. With that discovery, this then makes my next point a little bit more worse, I suppose, because up here you've got the safety switch, so that is on safe, so I can't pull the trigger now, and if I flick it down, that's now on not safe, so I can pull the trigger and I can shoot at people, which is great. But then the fire selector, if I want to change it from semi to 2-shot burst or full auto, is all the way over here. Now, if my hand is here holding the magazine like that and I press that button so I can like do my magazine changes, that's cool. But if I want to change it from single to double to full auto, my whole hand needs to come up to change it and then reseat back down there. Now, I don't know if this is a first world problem or something which I'm just used to, you know, running like M4 type riffs and things like that, because if I've got the Ronin 47 here, if I want to swap from safety, which is here, all I need to do is go like, aha, boom, 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 and then boom, 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 boom for full auto. And it's nice and quick, and especially in Airsoft, at UK sites anyway, you can often find that you'll have an engagement distance for full auto. So a driver would, for example, you can full auto during the game modes. However, if you get in within like, you know, 10 meters of people, drop down to semi-auto, just put a round in them or two, and then you can move on to the next person. And when you're running an M4 style riff or something with a fire selector like this, that's not really an issue, because you can literally just be like, ooh, I'm spraying everyone, I'm spraying everyone. Brrr, oh look, I'm 10 meters in. Click, and then and then you're kind of like safe to go. But with the Vector, however, you can't really do that. You have to be on like, you know, ready to go on say full auto like this here, and my hand position is going to be there, and then you've got to go, oh, I'm near someone now, and then you've got to move your thing like that, or get your hand off the trigger, which you never really want to do because you always need to be in a position to, you know, take people out. And then do it on the other side. So this fire selector, I'm not very keen on. Although I do like the fact it has a 2-round burst on there. These actually really remind me of the old the Thompson submachine gun, because that had a separate safety to fire and fire selector switch on there as well. I must say it is growing on me. The more that I hold it, the more that it is kind of like, you know, growing on me, and I do like the aesthetic, although I don't feel like it's super functional. But I guess the only way I'll know that for sure is to take it out in the field and do some shooting with it, or even get the target set up in the garden and then do some shooting with that as well and see what happens. The rail feels like it's so low though, like because your hand is so high, it's a very different experience using this or holding this than any other kind of riff that I've owned. So yeah, it's certainly going to take some getting used to and relearning that muscle memory. In terms of power out of the box, this was shooting about 320 FPS on 0.2 gram BBs. So it is a little bit lower than I would like it to be. Ideally, I'd like it to be, you know, out of the box about 335, 340. So then, you know, you've got some leeway with when the spring starts to get a bit tired and gets a little bit less squishy and you lose some FPS. But I'd rather it be site legal out of the box and, you know, at least over 300 FPS then be over the limit and I have to take it apart and do some modifications to it. So power-wise, it's okay. It gets a pass. RPS, though, I do not know what the rounds per second is of this out of the box. So there's only one way to work this out. Let's get some BBs, put some power in it, and see how many rounds per second we get. The booklet does say use a 7.4 volt LiPo. I don't like 7.4 volt LiPos, but I do have them, so I will try one, but I'm going to be running this with an 11.1 volt LiPo, so let's go get those sorted out and ready. Filling it up with my StayFreshShoe balls. Check them out, Krytac Airsoft. Now, I do have high hopes for this and the rate of fire it's going to have, because the Vector is well known to be a very fast firing SMG in real life, so I'd like to think that the Airsoft equivalent is going to come across and you know, have the same kind of characteristics as its real world counterpart. I highly doubt it's going to be DSG'd or dual sector gear, which essentially doubles your rounds per second, but hey, we'll see what it's like anyway. So we're going to go for the 7.4 volt LiPo first of all. My batteries stick out that far, so I can kind of like push the connector in there, but there's no way I'm going to get that clip on, so it does need an extra, what, like 20 mil to be comfortable of getting the battery stuck in there. And now let's see what our full auto rate of fire is. 11.4 BBs per second. So not the greatest, not as fast as I would like hope it to be with it being a Vector, but let's get 11.1 volt LiPos in there and then see how it does with those. Okay, and 11.1 volt LiPos. Much more what I would expect it to sound like and to perform. It was 19.4 BBs per second on the 11.1 volt LiPos. That alone was a very good highlight on showing, you know, the big difference you have between 7.4 volt and 11.1 volt LiPo batteries. Now that we've just done the test firing of it as well, I can talk to you a little bit about the trigger. It's a very odd trigger. It's not something which I personally enjoy the feel of. So if I kind of bring it up here, if I move the trigger like this, all this movement, nothing is happening. There's literally no BBs can be shot during this pull. There's nothing happening. It's only when I get to here and then I go, this is where the shot happens, and it makes it feel odd. Like it makes it feel like it's quite squishy and quite spongy, you know, and like there's a lot of time where nothing is really happening. So yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about that. To be honest, I feel like I've been spoiled with my triggers, because with the Mod 1 I've got the Gate Titan in there, and I've also got the Max Speed trigger, and those two combined just give me, you know, like the perfectly tuned trigger that I want for my own kind of like, you know, personal usage. I mean, everyone's kind of preferences with their triggers are going to be different, but I've set my Mod 1 up to be exactly how I want it to be. So now when I use a riff that doesn't have a trigger like that, it feels really, really odd. So I know I just can't go fully ham with this and be like, oh, it's terrible trigger, it's rubbish, blah, 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 blah. Because I've tuned my triggers to, you know, exactly how I want them to feel and work. So yeah, out the box, it's a bit of a squidgy trigger, and it stops all of a sudden. But you know what? You pull the trigger, it goes click, and then a BB comes out the end. So ultimately, it does what a trigger's supposed to do. It's just down to personal preference. This thing here, I've so far not been able to work out what it's for. I don't actually know what this thing here does. So if you've got any ideas what this thing does here, please let me know in the chat, because I've got no idea what this thing is. It's just there. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. It could just be a remnant from like the proper Vector that doesn't do anything and it's just there purely aesthetic, but it does look like things move around and wiggle. So yeah, I'm not too sure. If you do know what that does though, please do let me know in the chat. Thank you very much for watching this video. It's been a pleasure having you here with me today. Huge shout out to all my patrons for supporting the channel month to month. You guys are amazing. And of course, shout out to Krytac Airsoft for sponsoring this video. And yeah, keep an eye out on the website, because there's going to be some Vector related items coming very soon. And if you're looking for a sick airsoft community to join, go and check out the StayFreshShoe Airsoft community Discord server. There is a link in the description below, and there's now over 700 people there. So yeah, go make some airsoft friends. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. Remember to call your hits, and I'll see you in the next one.